Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Before we begin the video today, if you'd like to use OCD Recovery's coaching services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and he will get back to you as quick as he can. So yeah, today I wanted to speak a little bit about self-worth, and I think it's a hugely important topic in OCD. As I sort of moved through the recovery journey, and well, even before I began the recovery journey, I was suffering from feelings of low self-worth. I didn't hold myself in high regard, and yeah, I just didn't have any feelings of self-worth. But looking back now, that the whole concept of self-worth was just completely irrational, and the fact I had low self-worth was also very irrational because it implied that my worth as a human being could change. Like, it implied that my worth as a human being wasn't fixed. And I think the best way to look at how irrational feelings of self-worth is to look at examples. So, for example, for me, I remember I had low feelings of self-worth based on a trait or a characteristic. So, for example, I remember I had very sort of low feelings of self-worth because of the way I looked. I'd also compare myself to other people, people of the same sex as me, but then people of the opposite sex. So there were times when I'd look at, like, maybe an attractive woman and I'd think, well, I'm not worthy of that. And the whole concept right there is just very irrational. So if say you might be going through the same thing as well. So say you think your partner might be too good for you, or you don't feel worthy of your partner. They might have one really desirable trait or characteristic that you think puts them above you. So you might think, oh, they're really, really attractive. They're more attractive than me. I'm not worthy of them. They have more worth than me. But this is irrational, because you're saying because they have this one trait or characteristic, you're saying that they're good. All other traits, acts, characteristics, they're all overlooked in that one moment because they have this one trait. So you're giving them this global universal rating based off of one thing. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's like saying somebody's a bad person based on one act. Someone can't be a bad person based off one act because that's not their entirety, right? To say somebody is bad, you're saying that from the minute they're born, everything that they've done only ever in their whole life is just completely bad. But that's not really the case. You look at someone who might be really attractive. They've got this one desirable feature that they're very attractive, but they might also have a lot of other characteristics that might not necessarily be that good. They might get frustrated easily, get angry. They might berate other people. They might be rude. They might be someone who also has a hobby or goes to work or has a certain relationship with their family. So they're as a human being, we're incredibly complex, right? So to rate ourselves or other people based on one trait just is completely irrational, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. In terms of our worth, you can't prove with evidence that this one person has more worth than you. You can't prove with evidence that you have no worth. You can't empirically prove that with evidence. Like, why does your judgment of yourself or somebody, like, why is that the final judgment that we should use? Why is that the universal principle? It's just a perception that we have in our head of ourselves, and people from different time periods might judge worth based on different things. So somebody from 200 years ago might base somebody's worth not on their attractiveness but on maybe another trait. For example, I don't know, a very good child carer, or they might be very good at providing for the family. Different people from different times are going to have different judgments of what this can actually look like. So say you think somebody's more worthy of you, that can't be supported because it might have different definitions at different times. And then, like I said, to say someone that has more worth than you based on one trait, you're saying that this in person is some godlike person who's entirely good And exactly, that's just an irrational concept, because you don't get entirely good or bad people, right? So yeah, with feelings of self-worth, we tend to rate ourselves entirely based on one characteristic, and we need to be really, really careful of that, right? As a human, right, we're too complex to rate. As Albert Ellis said, that we can't globally rate ourselves at a given point in time. So the only common denominator between all humans, the only common thing we share with each other, is the fact that we are alive, we are human, and we have that worth of being a human, right? So what does that mean? Well, it means that you're a human being, you're alive, you're serving your purpose, which is being alive and well. You know, you look at the worth, right? So you might be sat on a train, you take up that seat on the train, that's your worth, that's your value. Nobody else can be doing that. When you walk down the street, somebody might move out of your way because they know that you're there. That's your intrinsic value as a human being. Everything else is just noise, right? All the other things, the ratings, the acts and characteristics that we think are good or bad, that's all just extra layers that we've just given ourselves, and it actually gets us into trouble, you know. When we imply that our worth can be increased or decreased, you know, we have conditional self-acceptance. So we might say, oh, I can only, once I make this amount of money, once I start going to the gym or get really ripped, only then am I good, only then am I enough, only then do I have enough worth. And that just gets us into a slippery slope. As Nick says, it's like trying to fill up a bucket with water that's got a hole at the bottom. That water's just going to keep seeping out again and again, and we're just going to be looking for the next thing to validate our worth, right? So that is why we need to appreciate the fact that we're a human and we have value for being alive and well. You can't prove that we don't have value. You know, you can't prove evidence that we don't have value. So holding those beliefs that we categorically don't have value just gets us into trouble. You know, it makes us feel unconfident. It makes us unsure of ourselves. It makes us not put our needs first. It makes us not look after ourselves. And it makes us live inefficiently and, you know, just being scared of the world, essentially, because you don't have that sense of self, right? Also, as well, worth sort of ties in with this whole idea of deservingness, right? And deservingness is irrational as well, because it's like there's almost some higher power that decides whether we're able to get something based on something that we've done. But again, we know that deservingness doesn't exist because science is skeptical of that. You know, if deservingness did exist, kids who are sort of 4 and 5 years old, they wouldn't be getting cancer. But, you know, science is skeptical of that. You know, these things happen. It's like maybe in a football match with England and the World Cup. I like my football, as you know. Like, we could have deserved to win. We maybe did deserve to win against France a couple of years ago in the semi-final or whatever it was, but we didn't. We lost, right? Because scientifically we didn't win. We didn't score the goals. So this whole idea of deservingness and worth essentially just does us no favours whatsoever, and it makes us put other people on a pedestal, makes us unconfident, sad, depressed, etc. And yeah, obviously conditional self-acceptance is one of the biggest ills in today's society. So yeah, just know that as a human being, your worth is fixed. It's impossible for it to be increase or decrease based on one act that we might define as good. And I think once you know that, it will be impossible for you to slide down into feelings of low self-worth, because you know you have that intrinsic worth as being human. So yeah, I really hope this video helped, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.